well as working via Zoom until I can figure out how to have them both simultaneously working together. So forgive the eye contact. But good morning. Today is June 14th, 2026, and it is a very hot day here in Greensboro, North Carolina. I hope that wherever you are able to have some comfort and relaxation, and that you feel supported and connected and guided by the universe. And we'll get started as we usually do by just taking some breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, and in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, invite your mind, body, and energy to relax, 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 relax. And as we move into this space of complete relaxation, we open up our energies to the ancestors, loved ones, and friends that come together today to heal and guide you and lift you to the highest version of yourself in the light of the universe, so you may hear what you need to hear, know what you need to know, connect how you need to connect, and be what you need to be for your highest and best good, and the highest and best good of all involved, as we open up space to give and receive. So today, sensory food, that's what we just went over and talked about. I'm going to read it again just so we can tune in. Sensory food, page 78. The second source of nourishment is sensory impressions, what we consume with our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. When we read a magazine, we consume. When we watch a television program, we consume. Whatever we consume affects our body and mind. If we consume toxic magazine articles, movies, or video games, they will feed our craving, our anger, and our fear. If we set aside time each day to be in a peaceful environment, to walk in nature, or even just to look at a flower or the sky, then that beauty will penetrate us and feed our love and joy. And that's from How to Love by Thich Nhat Hanh. These are cute little book series that I really, really love. You can get them in a box set, and there's a dozen or so of them, and they're really, really cute and have bite-sized ways to connect with some of Thich Nhat Hanh's wisdom. So today I thought that we would talk about the concept of fixing, healing, and growing, which we talk a lot about, but I wanted to transfer it into the concept of fixing, healing, growing, awareness, acceptance, action. And so when we look at that process, one of the big messages that we're working on right now is we don't know what we don't know until we know it. And once we know it, we can't unsee it. And so that works with one of my main core philosophies, which is truth brings choice. And that's really important to pay attention to, because the awareness of something, the Buddhists would say awareness without acceptance is suffering, acceptance without action is suffering. And one of the Western mentalities that often come into play is awareness, action, awareness, action. And we skip that acceptance piece. And the acceptance piece is the inventory. It's recognizing exactly where we are, exactly what we're working with. And then from there, we can build out and move forward. But unfortunately, a lot of times we have an awareness of something. We watch a YouTube video, or we tune into a meme on the Instagram, and then suddenly we're like, oh, that's me. I need to go, 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 do, change, change, change. We don't sit with it. We don't bring it into that acceptance piece and saying, here's where I am. And let me just inventory what I have on hand and what I need. And oftentimes, if you've watched more than one video, then you realize I use cake analogies a lot. Garden and cake, those are two things that I work with. And so, often I use that analogy. If you were baking a cake, you would start with a recipe. You would have, know how much of each thing you needed to have a healthy balance to create the cake. Then you would have instructions on what order you put them together in order to create cake. And then we would go to the cupboard, see what we have, know what we need to go to the store to get, and we would have a plan. And often I put that in the context of, working on your knots instead of your gots. And we can, go to the cupboard and say, I don't need onions, I don't need rice, I don't need beans. But that would make us sort through 1,000 things before we got to exactly what we needed. So recognizing that inventory list, exactly how much is enough to be healthy, what do we need, and the culmination of all of those things to create what we're looking for. And so identifying that first is our awareness. I'm aware I have this strength. I'm aware I practice this weakness. And how do we see ourselves in a whole way in that moment? Okay, right now, that's acceptance. Right now, in this moment, this is what I have on hand. This is where I would like to be. And here's the gap between the two, not in a shaking finger, look at you, you're falling short sort of way, but in a way that allows us to tune in and recognizing that we have to be able to see the steps it takes to get where we're trying to go, and what it will take in order to get there. Because if we, close our eyes or close our ears to say, like, I'm just there, then we don't know what we're meant to, build towards. We don't know what the next step is, what's reinforcing to us, what is subtracting to us, what is away from us. Why did the Facebook stopped? I think broadcast failed. Done. Okay. Well, we're just going to continue on the YouTube. So tuning in that space and giving ourselves permission to see that, where we are and where we need to be is a really important aspect, because the part that brings us into acceptance, the part that allows us to recognize in this moment, also allows us to give ourselves grace, also allows us to tune into our, true center, our authentic self. It allows us to see how far we've come, even if we know that there is more to go. And my papa would say, like, if you stop asking questions, you're in the ground. So there's always another lesson. There's always more work to do. But what we're trying to do is stay so present moment in this position that we're not seeing it as hard work. It's not this 50-pound weight we're lugging around. It just is. We're putting it into that just is energy. This just is the next step. This is the route that I'm taking. This is the path that I'm on. And then the other great part about being human is we get to make as many choices as we want. So truth brings choice. If I start in this direction and I take 6 steps, and on the 6th step, I check in with myself, I stay in present moment, I tune into my heart center, I practice awareness and acceptance of this moment, and something doesn't feel right, real, true, or good to me, then I can make another choice based on that present moment positioning. But whenever we're out of that present moment positioning and we're either working to spite the past, to get over whatever hurt us, to fix whatever the problem is, or we're looking too far into the future. This is my goal. I have to get there. And then we follow a formula. Then the things that happen are that we either stay on the resilient path to overcome the obstacle, and the obstacle has to come with us because the story, or we follow the formula, even if it doesn't feel right, real, and true to us anymore, because we've grown to a place where maybe that's not our goal anymore. Maybe that's not the direction we want to go in. Maybe we need to go bigger, or maybe we need to go in a different direction. And we can reflect on that in this moment by just tuning in. Think of something 10 years ago, let's say, that you absolutely positively wanted in your life. You were like, oh my gosh, I can't wait until. And ask yourself, like, first, did I get it? Was that something that came into my spaces? And then, second of all, ask yourself, does it feel as profound either now that you have it or now that you changed your mind? And so that allows for us to understand that evolution, because I know, things that were important to me 10 years ago might not be as important to me right now, or I acquired them and grew past that goal, grew past that into another space. So I got it. And my eye on the prize changed to a different prize. So if we get so stuck on that, fixing mentality, then we put a lot of energy and effort into eradicating something we may not want. Or we get so far ahead of ourselves that we pedestal the goal, which takes the opportunity to be able to see other possibilities beyond it. And so that's where this present moment, the acceptance piece and awareness, acceptance, action is so important. Because if each day I check in with myself and say, does this feel right, real, and true? And then I allow myself to make my decisions based on that, then little by little, the bird builds its nest. I will step forward and step forward and step forward. And so that's kind of energy that we want to pay attention to right now, especially with this reveals, the reveals energy. I didn't know what I didn't know until I know it. And now I know it. I can't unsee it. Like, there's a lot of reveals. And if we get caught in the actual reveal of it, then it can get us really caught up technically, because you've probably heard me say before, something that I commonly remind people is that the test results didn't create the outcome, they just revealed it. So when something's revealed, it was already present, it was just hidden or in denial, or we refused to see it, or we weren't working with it, we didn't accept it. And so these reveals aren't creating new things. They're just showing us what we need to know about ourselves. Because remember, we've talked about this, the brighter the light, the longer the shadow, because we're ready to do this work. We just have to answer the call. And so for yourself, recognizing, like, staying in that present moment, really understanding and accepting where you are, doesn't mean condoning. It doesn't mean I lay down and say, well, this is it. This is the only place I'm ever going to be, right here. We instead go, like, right now in this moment. If you don't know where you are, you can't map where you're going. So I am right here. And the next step that takes me to where I see myself going is this. And then tomorrow, right now, I am right here. And the next step that takes me to where I see myself going is here. And we just build it and build it and build it. And then what eventually happens is we find ourselves where we were trying to go, to a better destination, or in a totally different direction, but still authentic with ourselves, because our path plan is growing at the same rate that our energy impression is growing, and our authentic self is being revealed. Because that's really the key, the juicy bit in this is, it's not that what I thought I wanted 10 years ago was wrong. It was correct for that version of me. But as I grew, my beliefs and visions and energies and self grew. And so, therefore, should my goals, plans, what I want to need, how I feel. And so that's where we can get, that's where we want to look into that growth. I am whole in this moment. I am whole tomorrow. I am whole in 22 weeks. And recognizing that is what allows us to stay authentic to our soul self, our authentic self, our path plan. So I hope that was helpful in thought process to you all. And I will always give a little suggestion of work that you can do. You can begin a journal if you don't have one, or start a little section of your existing journal and really just do, well, I'll always tell you to do the 3 5s because I think it really works. But also just do a little check-in with, where am I now? Like, where am I sitting? What is my, impression in this moment? And what is my focus? Like, what is in my highest and best good? And that's a feeling. If we say I want $1 million in an island, that doesn't guarantee happiness. It doesn't guarantee prosperity. It doesn't guarantee success, Alcatraz. But we can think about the idea of saying, like, happiness feels like to me in this moment, this. Success feels like to me in this moment. Prosperity feels like to me in this moment. And then we fill out those sort of things because we're working in feelings, and our feelings are connected to our authentic self. Our authentic self is connected to our path plan. So I'm going to pull the Art of Energy card for the universal. And then if anyone wants an individual card, I will stop recording and then we will move into individual card pulls for people. So let's see what we got here. So for the universal pull, we pulled number 24. The Amazing Art is by Amy Gordon. And then let's see, it works with the energy of judgment and denial in the heart center. And so the words that go with the art that Amy writes are, your judgments are not deserving. It is not a sentence to be serving. You have the free will. It is free. Don't dent yourself to see beauty without the negative lens of inferiority. Bring awareness to denial and judgment of the self. How does this change your self-view and therefore your actions? All right. 24. Bring awareness to the self. Try to place yourself in a space of love as you think about yourself. As you focus in on self-love, what judgments arise? Do you shut down self-love? Denial. Does the critic show up? Judgment. Is it hard to hold space in a place of self-love? Energy action. Tune into the energetic vibration of love. You may do this by reaching out into the universal energy or tapping into the energetic feeling of love in general. Pay attention if your love changes form. Is denial or judgment present? Spread into thinking of someone who may need love or is hard to love. Does your love change form now? Is denial or judgment present with this thought? Finally, bring the energy of love into your heart. Imagine yourself a pure being of love. Does the energy of love stay whole? Now imagine that love being for you and of you. Is denial or judgment present? That's a good one. And really recognizing that our relationship to love is actually usually not pure, unconditional, absolute, universal love. It's usually what I consider actionable love. So we're saying like, oh, well, when you do this, I love that, which is not, it could be an ingredient of universal love, but that thing in particular independently usually isn't universal love. And that starts with ourselves, as RuPaul says. So recognizing how you love yourself, how you feel love, what love feels like in its healthy form in your heart center, and then how you give and receive that in a way that allows it to expand. So I hope this message helps you all and finds whoever it needs to. May those with ears hear and those with eyes see exactly what they're meant to receive. And I hope that your weeks go well as you pay attention to awareness of where you're allowing acceptance to shift in, and your inventory in those spaces. I hope that you are all well and in good spirits, and that you feel whole, and that you are blessed, and that you always be your soul.